Welcome back, viewers, and you're still watching The Breakfast Show, and in this segment of our program we will talk about the 48th round of the Organization of Islamic Conference OIC, which is currently taking place in the Pakistani capital Islamabad with the participation of Egypt. And to shed more light on this important conference, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Hassan Waguih, Professor of International Relations. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, sir, let's first talk about the significance of Egypt's participation at the 48th round of the Organization of Islamic Conference Foreign Ministers meeting in the Pakistani capital of Islamabad.
Yes, it is a very important chance because Egypt's diplomacy is based on trying to join all the balanced gatherings that really help to solve and to ease the conflict in this world. And you have seen now that the Ukrainian-Russian crisis has an impact on everyone in the world.
Yes.
And there is a very missing need for effective third-party intervention to stop this war. And I think Egypt's participation is seeking so many things among other Islamic countries because it's an Islamic summit and in Pakistan. But again, yes, we need to have this balanced situation to help many conflicts and many problems and to seek stability in this world. So yes, this is the significance of this important gathering in Pakistan.
Yes, also the two-day event is held under the title of Building Partnerships for Unity, Justice and Development. How do you read the theme of this conference?
Yes, the theme of this conference, of course, is to find this very important bloc and activated in international affairs and among the contributing nations. Yes, all the nations in this summit seek to develop much more, to exert much more efforts for development, for stability, for cooperation, to have a heard voice in this turmoil world.
Yes. So, sir, also, if we talk about the role of the Islamic cooperation or the OIC in confronting the phenomenon of religious extremism, which uses terrorism as a way to achieve its goals, how do you see the OIC efforts to confront extremism and terrorism?
Actually, no one country by itself could handle these very complicated and very enlarged phenomena of extremism and terrorism. Of course, this is very important gathering because if we are talking about containing extremism and the terror, which is the cause for terrorism and wars actually, when it comes to extremism, we are talking about extreme way of thinking that really depends on the zero-sum game. I think this needs to be addressed from all perspectives. There is no military solution only. There is economic solution, military solution, and media solution, educational solution. So I think this gathering is very important to enhance all these axes. And if you have seen the visits of our Foreign Minister, Mr. Samah Shukri, you can see that he has already met with military figures, with the Foreign Minister of Pakistan and many other groups which seek to resist anti-climate groups. You can find diversified personnel and diversified entities that the foreign minister met with. And this shows that we have to have this multidimensional thinking in managing the main agenda of this conference. When you are talking about extremism and terrorism, I think it needs this multi-thinking and multi-access.
Yes. Also, sir, the organization plays a pivotal role in various fields in the Islamic world, with a special focus on empowering youths as makers of the future to face the challenges that impede achieving stability and development in our Islamic world, as well as the vital role of women. How do you evaluate the role of the OIC in these domains?
Actually, this is a very important role because if you can see the Islamophobia discourses against the Islamic world, it all the time tries to belittle the role of women, is trying to belittle the role of youth. So I think this is very important, and I think along the side of this summit, there is a group, a working group for the Islamic Summit, working on bringing a coalition and alliance game, and I think there is something being established here in Cairo, which is being encouraged and being talked about in that summit.
So, sir, also Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri in his speech touched on the Palestinian issue in his speech, noting that it was the source of the establishment of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Shukri said that Egypt affirms that there is no solution to the Palestinian issue without the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the borders of June 4th, 1967. So, sir, how do you read the Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri's speech to the OIC yesterday?
Actually, Egypt leave no chances and leave no opportunities and leave no summits like that unless it confirms it's a very strong stance towards peace and stability when it comes to the Middle East, and to say that the Palestinian problem is still in the very core interest of the Egyptian Foreign Ministry and the Egyptian leadership. Because if you solve these important and protracted conflicts, it could be an example for managing other protracted conflicts all over the world, which really needs to settle down and to stop this state of turmoil that the whole world is going through. Of the Palestinian cause is enhancing Egypt's stance, and enhancing the idea of solving such a protracted conflict, because it would be a precedent for the entire world to settle down and keep the track out of turmoil as we witness now.
Yes. Also, the conference focused on discussing the challenges that are faced by the Muslim world nowadays. In your opinion, what are these challenges, and how can these countries cooperate to confront the challenges facing Islamic world nowadays?
I think one of the most important challenges these days, and during this current, which impacted the entire world, I mean the Russian Ukrainian crisis, I think this gathering would say that let the world stop polarization, and we need this third-party intervention, effective party that would help solve the problem among two parties, the conflicting parties, with all the complexities, with all the historical roots that is involved. So it is not right, from my own point of view, that you would say this party is the mistaken party and that party is not mistaken. I think there is roots for this problem, and it needs definitely a third party. Let it be the Islamic Summit. Let it be, and the president of Pakistan himself said that he doesn't want this polarization, and he took a stance that's really neutral. And let us get out of that. This is not our war. This is not the world war. this war should be stopped and diplomacy should take place. I think this is a very wise attitude, and I think getting into this alliance game and being launched through the summit, I think is a very important step. And also you can see a good comparison between the features of conflict, the features of terrorism, the features of extremism is very similar in any conflict, by the way.
Yes.
So I think the summit suggests that considering the 15th of March as a day for resisting Islamophobic discourses through the United Nations. So I think that's another thing that's very important that this summit is bringing to light.
Yes. Also, in your opinion, how can the Islamic countries cooperate also to promote economic cooperation, especially that now the whole world is facing economic challenges?
Actually, you can see that when some theoreticians in international relations said a long time ago, the world has become a global village.
Yes.
And this is very, very clear in its economy, in its internet, in its electronic communication, in every aspect. You cannot pretend to live in isolation, you say.
Yes.
You are not supposed to build, or you should not be able to build iron curtain around any given country. So, yes, the only way is to keep this globalization and this international system going, and you can, of course, reform it. Of course, the United Nations need reform. Of course, the international system needs reform. But I think by cooperation, by discussion, by debates, by points, not by knockouts, not by military moves, strong military moves and wars, because wars would make everyone loses. So I think the summit as an alliance game coming up and being held during this turmoil time, I think is extremely important to set a role for, or an avenue for dealing with the conflict, or at least de-escalating it.
So, sir, how do you see also the Organization of Islamic Conference attempts to face the foreign interference in the affairs of many Islamic countries as Sudan, Syria and Iraq? How can they face these foreign interferences?
Yes, of course, this is a good chance to assert our stance, to say and to raise the flag of no intervention, respect for sovereignty. And I think when you are talking about this, you are talking against many things, not one thing. One of that, this proxy war, it is being launched all over the world.
Yes.
With some form or another. You are talking about interfering in the internal affairs of a given country. I think this is not this is against sovereignty and against independence of choices for each country. This does not mean that we should neglect human rights or and avoid human wrongs, of course.
Yes. Yes, finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Hassan Waguih, Professor of International Relations. Thank you for being with us. And also, Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri takes part in the 48th round of the Organization of Islamic Conference OIC Foreign Ministers meeting in the Pakistan capital of Islamabad. The two-day event is held under the title of Building Partnerships for Unity, Justice and Development, and it discusses a number of issues, atop of which is developments in Yemen, Libya, Sudan, Syria and Somalia, the situation in Afghanistan and African issue also top the agenda of the talks, and Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri held different meetings on the sidelines of the conference with the counterparts from several member states. And at a meeting with the Tunisian Foreign Minister, the top diplomats discussed bilateral cooperation as well as international and regional issues of mutual concern. Another meeting with the Kyrgyzstan's Foreign Minister, and the pair discussed also bilateral ties and regional and international issues of mutual concern. The OIC meetings also are taking place till today, Wednesday, and is expected to wrap up its activities. So we will also follow up throughout the day the meetings of the OIC in Islamabad. And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of The Breakfast Show. Thank you for watching.